In France, cheers erupted after lawmakers approved an amendment explicitly enshrining abortion into the country's constitution on Monday. It is the first country in the world to do so. Many watched the announcement on giant screens in the heart of Paris. Abortion is widely supported across France, and support even crosses party lines. The abortion amendment passed in a 780 to 72 vote in the Palace of Versailles and brought cheering lawmakers to their feet. There was a pro-life presence outside when this took place, with pictures of our Blessed Mother and signs reading, "France is praying." France permits fully funded abortions for women and minors up to 14 weeks gestation, with some exceptions for abortion later in pregnancy. It has been legal there since 1975. The amendment to France's constitution is a fulfillment of President Emmanuel Macron's promise to advance abortion in the wake of the U.S. Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade. The Pontifical Academy for Life issued a statement upholding French bishops' opposition to the abortion amendment, writing, "In the age of universal human rights, there can be no right to take a human life." So what does this mean, not just for France, but for the rest of Europe? Solène Tadié, the Europe correspondent for our sister news entity, the National Catholic Register, joins us now to help us understand the repercussions of this measure. Solène, thanks for being here. I know you grew up in Paris. We saw that the city went so far as to light up the Eiffel Tower in celebration of this abortion decision. How do you make sense of really their jubilation, and what reaction are you hearing from those you know in France?
Yes, Prudence, the tourists walking around the Trocadero in Paris, this famous place, on Monday must have been very surprised to see these scenes of jubilation, these purple smoke bombs flying everywhere with Beyoncé's songs and glittering Eiffel Tower with the message, "My body, my choice." Some people told me maybe we thought it was some kind of anticipation of the Olympic Games or something like that, what is going on. But in reality, the crowd was celebrating the fact that the Constitution now protects the act of taking a life of an unborn child. So this ostentation, this pomp that was seen both in Paris and in Versailles, where the vote took place, we could see standing ovations, tears, people singing, like politicians. That created a sense of malaise and even indignation among a number of observers, people to which I spoke, and even people who are pro-abortion usually, specifically because, I mean, they thought it was somehow indecent, given the seriousness of the issue and France's critical situation socially, economically, demographically. It all looked like a circus.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And Solène, tell me about how Catholic bishops are reacting.
Well, the French bishops this time reacted quite strongly. You know, some commentators say that the French bishops are not outspoken enough, but this time, many of them spoke out individually to condemn these attacks on life, and often describing the harsh reality of the practice of abortion without ambiguity. They called for fasting and prayer for France. The former Archbishop of Paris, Michel Aupetit, who is still very popular on social media, even described France as a totalitarian state on the day of the vote. So you could definitely tell that these French bishops, are becoming more and more outspoken. During the vote, you also had several young priests in different cities of France who sounded the knell from their churches. So it looks like the radicalization of the pro-abortion movement is also strengthening its opponents.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. And France is a leader in the European Union. It's a top funder with a large delegation. It's definitely a significant player in Europe more broadly. So I'm curious, how might this vote influence other member countries of the European Union?
Clearly, there will be consequences. After this French initiative, it's very difficult to calculate the consequences right now. Especially when one thing that until now only dictator Tito's socialist Yugoslavia had dared to enshrine abortion in its constitution. But now France has overturned this taboo topic. It opened the Pandora's box. So it paved the way for other countries to follow, becoming the perfect model to follow in the footsteps. Especially, you know, we know that France still has a very strong cultural influence in the West, especially on its European neighbors. And one should just see the chorus of praise for Emmanuel Macron in the European press, including a tweet from the president of the World Health Organization, who praised the initiative. So clearly pro-abortion movements are on the roll in Europe. Spain has taken new steps to enlarge the legislation for abortion. It's the case also for Poland, that used to be the more restrictive with regard to abortion in Europe. So things are changing very quickly. And yes, now they have a very model on which to base their model. We have the left-wing proponent of the first law to enshrine abortion in the French Constitution, and on the very day of the vote, she announced her intention to file a resolution at the European Parliament to have again abortion enshrined in the EU's Charter of Fundamental Rights. So this is why pro-life groups in neighboring countries, especially in Italy, you have a lot of pro-life groups who are already organizing themselves, already preparing to fight to prevent this new French model from being exported into their countries.
Right. And Solène, let's talk a little bit more about that domino effect that we could see here. The United Kingdom is considering a law that would decriminalize abortion after a woman was put in jail for aborting her baby after the 24-week limit that exists there last year. What does the role of criminalizing abortion play in these debates?
What could be said, Prudence, is that behind these legal issues that are very important, there are other stakes that are of totally ideological nature. There is the idea that taking a life at any stage of pregnancy is harmless and that is never a crime. So by denying the unborn child its legal identity, we also deprive that baby of its human nature, reinforcing also the idea that it's nothing more than a mass of cells. And that's what pro-abortion movements are trying to say. So the plan of these movements around the world are to eliminate all legal time limits to have an abortion, so that they can be carried out without consequences up to 9 months of pregnancy. So these are philosophical, political, bioethical challenges of the utmost importance. It's very important for the church leaders and for Catholic intellectuals to be on the ground and interact in these very important debates.
Solène, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate your expertise.
Thank you very much.